Hello everyone, I am Advait Purav, your anchor for today's webinar on hardware and software of microstereolithography. This webinar has been organized by the III Council of Father Conceição Rodrigues College of Engineering, Bandra. The III is a national council founded in 1957 as a non-profit organization and a registered public trust under the Bombay Public Trust Act 1950, which is dedicated to the advancement of industrial engineering education and practice all over the country. The institution has 34 chapters established all over India. We would like to thank the director of our college, Reverend Father Valerian D'Souza, our honorable principal, Dr. Shrija Unikrishnan, the HOD of the Production and Mechanical Engineering Department, Dr. V.S. Zurapur, and the faculty advisors of the III CRC Council, Dr. Bhushan Patil, Dr. S.K. Das, and Professor M.V.B. Rao for their constant support and guidance throughout the journey. This webinar is conducted under the leadership of our 2B chairperson Khushi Mehta and vice chairperson Girish Chawla. Our special thanks to the other council members Path Rathod, Manan Nandwana, Ronak Mistry, Amit Dubey, Shubham Nar, Jees Joy, Yashovardhan Khiman, and council advisors Shrey Pandey, Sahil Shah, Uday Srivastav, and myself Advait Purav. We would also like to express our gratitude towards our alumni Chirayu Jha, who is the former chairperson of the III CRC Council. A warm welcome to all of you today. Our speaker for today is Dr. Kiran Bhole. Dr. Kiran Bhole has completed his BE in Mechanical Engineering from BN College of Engineering, Pusad from University of Amravati and his ME in Production Engineering from Father Conceição Rodrigues College of Engineering, Bandra. He has done his PhD from the Department of Mechanical Engineering, IIT Bombay, on synthesis and analysis of bulk lithography for 3D microfabrication and has hands-on experience on microfabrication and characterization techniques. I request everyone to kindly keep your microphones muted and camera off. There will be a question and answer session in the last 10 minutes of the webinar where you can type your question in the WhatsApp group and I will ask the speaker to answer the same. Respected Kiran sir, I request you to kindly start with your presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Advait, for giving the introduction, and let me share my presentation with all.
Sure, sir.
Is my screen visible?
Yes, sir. You may kindly. Yes.
Is the screen visible and I'm audible?
Yes, sir. You are audible and your screen is also visible.
Okay, great. So today I'm going to talk on the microstereolithography, which is a technology for 3D microfabrication. This microstereolithography, the unique version of this microstereolithography, is designed and developed in the IIT Bombay during my PhD time, and I'm going to present that particular work here in front of you. Okay, so let us see. But first of all, what is the microstereolithography? That is, in short, I will call it hereafter as MSL. What is the MSL system is? Okay, so as you might be knowing, the 3D printing and 3D printing quite well is like most of the projects has been handled on the 3D printing, or the 3D printer itself is developed by some of the students in most of the colleges. Okay, so that is used for generally I have observed this particular 3D printers are based on fused deposition model principle, where the filament is used and it is heated in the heater and then it is deposited in controlled manner to get the 3D in a layer by layer way to get the 3D component getting printed. So this microstereolithography or MSL is nothing but 3D printer only, but it is the how it is different than the conventional 3D printer which the student develop in their project work in the colleges, or the colleges are using the 3D printer. Is that the here it is not based on the FDM base, or FDM is not at all used here, but it is a laser based process. This is laser based process. First, this is the significant change in the working principle. Another is this microstereolithography is the process for fabrication of micro components. The components ranging in some micron sizes, such as 1 micron to 100 micron sizes. So it is not used for printing the mesoscale products, but it is used for printing the micro size components. Okay, so how the process plan goes, that is explained here in this slide. So very first we have to develop a CAD model in any CAD modeling software. So let us see here for illustration. I have shown one CAD model of a cone material shown in yellow color. So this is a CAD model which one can develop in any CAD modeling software such as the ProE, SolidWorks, etc., AutoCAD, etc. So any CAD modeling software can be used for the development of this, but any component which is to be printed. Okay, so any component which is to be developed is a CAD model very first we have to develop. And then later on, as this is a layer by layer process, this is additive manufacturing process. So we have to cut this particular CAD model into number of 2D slices. So what we require is a slicing algorithm or slicing program to slice this entire 3D component in layer by layer way. So here I have shown for illustration the two particular slicing planes, okay, and the resultant slices, 2D slices. Okay, so this 3D CAD model is converted into number of 2D planes with the help of the slicing program. So here I have shown the two illustrations. One, it is sliced by the pink color slicing plane, and we have obtained the slice plane as a circle and bigger circle, and another slice plane by the blue shown by blue color, and the resultant is also our circle for a kind of the 3D model, and that is a smaller circle as it is cut towards the apex side. Okay, after this process, we are converting the 3D component into the number of 2D planes. But still, we are at the computer. We are doing the processing in the computer. So we have obtained number of 2D slices here of the 3D component. Now, what we require in manufacturing is nothing but one laser which is guided properly through the switch, optical switch, which makes the light on and off, and it is then passed through the mirror and the focusing lens, and the focusing lens focuses that laser light onto the photopolymer layer. Okay, this photopolymer resin, which is shown by yellow color, is a liquid resin. Wherever the laser light focuses on this particular resin, it gets polymerized. There is a chain reaction that occurs, and this liquid photopolymer gets turned into the solid part. Okay, so what we are doing is using this mirror and mirror which are arranged on this XY scanner. We have to scan it in a control way so that we can get this particular 2D slices getting developed in the actual case. Okay, so what we required after the 2D slice plane, this what we required in such type of the MSL system is the scan path algorithm or scan path program. Okay, so in the scan path for this particular slice plane, that is a pink color slice plane, is shown here on the slide. If we can see that when it is a slicing, this particular portion, like which I am showing by my cursor, where there is a no curing required, so laser light needs to be off there, and during the portion inside the circle, we require laser light to be on. Okay, so we require the on and off data quickly according to need of the plane which we have to develop. Okay, so like here in the second line, very first we require off data, and then on data, and then off data, again off data and on data for most of the time, and off data for very small time and all. Okay, so this particular scan path output we require in terms of the coordinates like x and y coordinates of the laser lights, are where at that particular time t the laser light is, and what is the position, what is the status of the laser light, whether it is on or off. Okay, depending upon the curing or solidification we require or not, depending upon that we require on off data. If the solidification is needed, then if the polymerization, I mean to say the polymerization, if it is needed, then we require the on laser light should be on wherever the polymerization is not needed outside the plane region. I mean to say, they be required off. Okay, so what we require from the scan path data is the thing with the laser position, X, Y position of the laser, and at that particular position whether the laser should be on or off. So this sort of data is required. So still all these are in the computer. We are generating all this in computer with the help of some programs. Okay. So this particular then is fed into the through a microcontroller, and then through this particular data which is obtained from the scan path, we are running through the microcontroller to the running the hardware to the microcontroller. So all this data of the scan path will be fed into the microcontroller, and the microcontroller runs all this hardware such as XY scanner and then the optical switch. So the time t and XY position will be given to the scanner, and time t and the laser on off data will be given to the optical switch. So the laser light comes, and when the laser light is, let us say, at this particular position where X is 0 and Y is 0, laser should be off, and then it will keep on moving in X direction till there is a no on data, and then whenever there is a on data, it will make on, and laser is continuously going ahead in X direction, then moves by pitch distance in the y direction, and again it is moving in X direction. But during the second line we see there is lot of X and Y, a lot of on and off data which we require. Now, so this way, when it is scanning in real time here, initially this particular platform is set very near to the liquid layer, and the first layer gets developed using this scan. But after the development of the first layer, this particular platform is built deep inside the water, deep inside the resin tank, and a fresh layer of the resin flows over the already cured layer. Now the second data of the second layer is fed into the system through a microcontroller, and the data is given to the XY scanner, and then we get the second layer getting deposited over the top of the first layer. Okay, this way the process is continued until we get all layers deposited. When all layers get deposited, we are getting the 3D components developed. Okay, now this particular process is automated, and this the what is the difference between the mesoscale 3D printer and the micro scale 3D printer is that in case of the micro scale 3D printer, the sizes of the components are in microns. I will tell you to get the feel of this. What is the accuracy? The kind of the accuracy what we require in case of a system is just to know the audience that the size of the hair is 80 to 100 microns, and you can imagine that we require to print the object, let us say 500 micron circle. If we have to develop a 500 micron circle, the kind of a straight line which we require need to be very high quality, high resolution. Okay, we can have, let us say, this 500 micron circle to print, and we need to have this CalPath program of nanometer accuracy. We for this XY scanner, if you go with the conventional linkages type of the straight line mechanism, then there is always a clearance in a pin joint, and that joint clearance itself is in some micron. So when we are tracing this particular straight line, instead of moving it very in straight line path, it will move in a direction diagonally and may have a lot of error. So that is not possible. So the scanning is not possible with the conventional mechanism. We require sophisticated mechanism. Okay, so this is the one of the requirement of the MSL system, that we require very sophisticated mechanism. Further, the optical switch also need to be operated at femtosecond. Femtosecond means 1 divided by 10 to the power 16 seconds. So much accuracy of the switching on and off we require, because this particular structure itself is in micron. So you can imagine if it is moving very fast, how quickly you require the on off things to happen. So this mechanically is not possible. Electrically is not possible. You require some kind of optical mechanism so that it can achieve this on off data with such a great accuracy. Okay, so with that particular thing, this system is need to be designed. So I am going to focus you, or I am going to give you that particular idea that how to develop, how to overcome these challenging challenges which are there in case of a micro printing, microstructure printing, micron size printing. Okay, another data is the thing is another very important thing is that generally the laser light which we are using is having Gaussian intensity profile. So whatever whenever the energy is exceeding the critical energy, then only the curing takes place or the photopolymerization takes place. And once the photopolymerization takes place, then as it is a Gaussian profile, we get the light of a Gaussian shape. Okay, so this particular shape is also not a rectangular one, okay, or not a cylindrical one. So this is another challenge that we cannot have the cure depth as whatever we require. So the decision of the cure depth need to be decided based on the so many parameters. So this is another very important challenge that the micro stereolithography is having. This slide gives you the idea about like how the optical scheme or the arrangement of the optics is. So we are having the laser light, then we are having the optical switch, which is in short called as an acoustic optical modulator. As I said that this particular optical switch need to be operated in 5 to 6 time. So we require the acoustic optical modulator, and then the first first order light is passed to the pinhole and goes to the mirror M3 M4 and then M3 and then in the M2 and M1 and then to the focusing lens, and the focusing lens focuses the laser light onto the resin surface. This is the schematic diagram of the scanning type of MSL system. So CAD data, we in computer generates all the CAD data such as slicing, then scan path data. All that data is generated using some kind of a software, and it can be custom made software, or we have plenty of open source software for that. So people can use all that software, open source software, or can develop their own the programs. In my case, I have developed the program in MATLAB, and then that data is used for the controlling the hardware. So that data is dumped into the microcontroller, and then one data is from the type and the type and the switch on and off data is given to the optical modulator, and the XY and time data is given to the optical scanning system. Okay, and one more data we can have for a Z plane, that Z platform to tip after the fabrication of one layer. So this way the microcontroller controls the Z, controls the XY plane, controls the on-off data. So this way, all these are synchronized, and then with this synchronization, we are getting the layer by layer, all the layers of 3D CAD model get generated, and the 3D model layer by layer way we get into the system. Okay, so now there are so many things that are there in scanning schemes, so many things which are there already established in the literature. So I will quickly tell you like what are the things are there in the scanning scheme already present, and what the scanning scheme is employed in the MSL which is developed at IIT Bombay. So, so till now there are the various scanning schemes such as post objective, pre objective, and all off axis and on axis. These are the different schemes. So, why for what purpose this particular scheme are? These are for the scanning the laser light on the resin surface. As I told you, conventional straight line mechanism will not do, because in conventional straight line mechanism, linkages are connected with the pin joint, and pin joint itself is having the micron size clearance. Okay, and the component which we are going to develop using this 3D printing are in micron sizes. We may require a gear to be developed in 100 micron, and the pin joint which is having a 500 micron clearance. So that straight line mechanism will have error of 500 microns. So we cannot use such type of the mechanisms in this kind of the micro printer. So people have come up with a different scanning scheme that are shown here. First, in post objective scanning scheme, we are having the lens before the mirror, and the laser light is coming from the lens are falling onto the mirror M1 and M2, and you see the rotation of M1 and M2, and with the help of rotation of M1 and M2, we can get the X and Y scanning of the laser light. Okay, and then we are having in free objective another way wherein the mirrors are first and the focusing lens comes later. So the mirror on from the mirror the laser light comes onto the focusing lens and the mirrors can be rotated about their axis, and thus we can cover the X, Y and Y range on the focusing plane. Okay, now what is the issue with this that we have discussed? So these are all some of them in literature. One is the off-axis scheme. So very first, let us see what actually the problem is with the post-objective and the pre-objective scanning. With the post-objective and pre-objective scanning, the whatever the intensity profile we are going to get here on the resin surface is not uniform. We can see here the laser light is getting tilted. So as it is getting tilted, the intensity profile which is there at the focusing plane when everything is all right will not be same at other x and y position. So the focused intensity will not remain constant throughout the scan. Another in post objective also the same thing will happen. The intensity of the light will not be constant onto the resin surface. In off axis, there is no mirror, but the laser head is completely moved onto the focusing plane. Here, in this case, also there will be distorted intensity profile. Intensity profile will not be a constant. So, what people one group from the South Korea, what they have done is instead of the scanning or moving this having this mirror or lens moving, we can have an entire optical scheme stationary and we can have the tank moving. So this is the last scheme which is available in the literature, which is photoreactor tank scanning, in which the tank is getting scanned and your focus light remains constant. So here with this kind of a scheme, it is far sure that the focus intensity which is going to be on the resin surface is always a constant intensity. So intensity will remain a constant on the focal plane. It will not change its intensity pattern at any other x and y position. So this is the benefit of the photoreactor time scanning. But the problem is we cannot have the high speed scanning because we are already scanning the photoreactor tank, and the photoreactor tank is carrying the liquid resin, and liquid resin the waves will get generated, and that's why this microstructure will have the wavy structure. Okay, so that's why this particular photoreactor time scanning is having limitation on the speed, and we cannot operate it at very high speed. So speed is very less in case of photoreactor time scanning. This is simulated. This all these schemes are simulated, and we can see at 0 0 position when the focus spot when focus spot is at 0 0 position, the intensity is peak. But when we start scanning on XY plane, the intensity get distorted. We can see at the bottommost figures the intensity get distorted, and the intensity value, the magnitude is also get like changed a lot. We can see that at a distance 1.5 mm, almost the intensity is zero. Which that intensity was near to 3.5 magnitude here on the y-axis, and it becomes almost equal to zero at a small distance of 1.5 mm. Okay, so this that's why these all these schemes are can be used for development of the micron size component with a very limited size. I mean, the size is very limited. We can fabricate the component of few micron size, but if you want to fabricate a small line but of large distance, let us say example of the PCB, printed circuit board, where we are having micron features, a small line, but the length is very large. So such kind of feature cannot be printed using this all other schemes. So there has to be some another way out for all these things so that the focus spot can remain a constant for all over the range of the scan, and thus we can get the intensity and the focus spot constant for all over the range, and we can fabricate, if it is possible, then we can fabricate component of large sizes but minimum feature size but large in range. That is what I mean to say. So such type of a structure cannot be fabricated with all these schemes, and thus we have come up with the novel on-axis mechanical scanning. So that is shown over here. So what is there is we are having the M2 mirror, M1 mirror, and the focusing lens. So when it is moving in the y direction, we want to steer the laser beam in y direction. In that case, the mirror M1 and focusing lens both moved onto this axis. So on the M1 and focus lens both are translated on this particular axis, on this axis. So when it is translated on this axis, the intensity remains constant in y direction and it can go into any particular range. So range is not a limit. It can go. We are not tilting here the mirror. While in all other cases we were tilting the mirror. So here we are not tilting the mirror. Rather we are translating the M1 mirror and the focusing lens onto the axis. So when we are translating M1 and the focusing lens onto the axis, we get a good range where we can have the focus intensity constant and the focus spot also remaining constant. And during the X scanning, we are scanning the M1 and M2 mirror along with the focusing lens. So all this complete assembly is getting scanned, getting translated. M1, M2, and focus plane, I mean to say here. All these are translated on this particular axis of the laser beam. So as it is getting translated on this particular axis of the laser beam, we can get the focus intensity constant over this region in at any position in the y direction. So this way, if we use this particular strategy, we can have the optomechanical scanning scheme with a focus characteristics all over the range of the X and Y. So this particular scheme is used in the microstereography which is developed at Suman Masruwala Advanced Microengineering Laboratory of IIT Bombay. And this particular scheme is also simulated. With the simulation, it is seen that the focus spot remains constant, whereas in all other scheme we can see the focus spot is very large. The large focus spot we are getting in all other scheme, and the intensity also get diminishes. Intensity at 0 0 is peak, but in all other cases the intensity get diminishes, but in on-axis scheme the intensity remains constant. Focus spot remains constant, whereas in all other schemes focus do not remain constant. Okay, in here the intensity remains constant. Here in this another figure, we can see the intensity remains constant in on-axis scheme, whereas in all other scheme the intensity do not remain constant. So this is the advantage, a typical advantage of the on-axis scanning scheme. This is the experimental result and this comparison with the simulated results. So experimental results obey with the simulation results quite well, and we can say we can very well implement this particular novel on-axis scanning scheme in this particular microstereolithography. A second point is this is about the scanning schemes. But for this particular scanning scheme, for this translation, as I said, we cannot use the conventional linkage mechanism where we are having the pin joint, because in pin joint the clearance itself is in micron and that is not at all permitted when you are printing the micron size component. So what is done in that case is the use we can use the typical flexural mechanism, or the mechanism which do not require the any sort of the pin joints, and the deflection is merely because of the deformation of the linkages. Okay, so that sort of mechanism can be used in this case of the microstereography. So the idea for this microstereography, which is developed at IIT Bombay, is the scanning mechanism idea for the MSL system at IIT Bombay is taken from the CD-ROM. So if you open the CD-ROM, we can find out this particular flexural mechanism, which is shown here in the figure. So this particular flexural mechanism consists of the four flexural beams B1, B2, B3, B4. All these beams are connected to a rigid body here, and you can see the outermost beams, which is B1 and B4, are firmly fixed here at the point S1 and S2, and the innermost links B2 and B3 are connected to one more rigid body here. So all the four linkages on the right hand side end are connected to the rigid body here, but it is kind of free to move. Rigid body is free to move, It is a rigid body, but it is free to move. So such kind of arrangement is seen in case of the CD-ROM in our conventional in our CD-ROM, which will normally be used in our laptop system or computer system. So that particular flexural mechanism is used for the scanning purpose in case of this microstereolithography. Okay, so let me tell you the with this particular slide how effective it is. So if we are having a flexural system, a flexural beam, and the mass connected at the end, a cantilever type of arrangement, and the force F is applied, then we get a deflection, and the deflection and some rotation of this particular deflection with the rotation of this particular block over here, and we will not get a straight line, exact straight line, because there is but there will be some kind of parasitic error. So this distance will be more, and this distance is this distance and this distance need to be same, but this is curved one. So we will get this particular center line shifted towards the left hand side, and thus the error is epsilon shown over here. This is called as a parasitic error. So the another way to reduce this particular the way to reduce this particular parasitic error is shown in the schematic diagram number 2, where two flexural beams are used and the force is applied. Now the block get deflected, and the deflected position is shown by the dotted line over here. Dotted position shows the deflected position. Still, we will get some kind of a rotation and some parasitic error epsilon over here. Okay, so still this cannot be used for a straight line mechanism. What is there in third position is very interesting. Third figure is very interesting. So we are having four beams. This is typically used in our CD-ROMs. Four beams, four flexural beams, which can deflect. Okay, so four beams are there, and all these four beams are rigidly connected to the rigid body here onto the left hand side, and the outermost links are fixed, and the innermost links are connected to another body on which the force is applied for this deflection. So on the application of the force F on this particular body, the deformation takes place. The rigid body moves towards right hand side, and the body on which the force is applied also moves in, and it moves perfectly in a straight line without any parasitic error. So this particular concept is used by the Dr. Shaurya Avatar, and and this particular concept is first time commercialized in the CD-ROM. So Dr. Shaurya Avatar of MIT USA is first time he has introduced this particular concept, and commercially it is used in the CD-ROM. Okay, and from this CD-ROM, this idea is picked up for a straight line mechanism, and then it is implemented in the MSL system, which is developed at the IIT Bombay to get the component develop of large size but minimum feature resolution. So this is a system which is developed at IIT Bombay. So we are having laser light, and then the mirrors M1, M4, and M3, and then from here the laser light is steered to the mechanism which is shown here, which is in this particular box here. So we are having two mirrors here, and then the focusing lens, which is cannot be is not clearly visible through this particular picture here, but the next slide perhaps will tell you the exactly how it looks like. Okay, so and these are the beams of copper beryllium material, and these are the flexural beams which are not jointed. So just because of the deformation or the deflection of these beams, we are getting a straight line mechanism. There is no joint. Whereas in case of conventional mechanism, we are having a joint. They are rigid bodies and connected with the beam joint. But here we are having deformable body, flexural mechanism, which is typically used, and that is the attraction point in case of this straight line mechanism. And yeah, here this particular figure we can see these are the M1 and M2 mirror, and right below this we are having a focusing lens. And to actuate this particular flexural mechanism, we are having the voice coil actuator. So this is voice coil actuator. So because of magnetic leviation, this particular force is developed, and that displaces this flexural mechanism here. So one voice coil actuator mentioned here. Another voice coil actuator is over here for X and Y position, for deflection in X and Y direction respectively. We can see here these are run, and then the data is captured using the data logger or data acquisition system. And we can see here the two lines shows here about the scan path. One is the reference line which is obtained from the CAD data. So actually it is a perfect ideal line. Reference line is the ideal line, and another green line which is actual line. So we cannot distinguish the green and the yellow line, so it shows the very good accuracy of the scanning. But if you maximize this corner, because the error is expected at the corner when it is taking 90-degree turn. So when it is taking the 90-degree turn, the error in the scanning mechanism, maximum error in scanning mechanism is expected at that particular position. So this particular corner is magnified, and we can see this particular size is minus 800.5 micron. This is minus 800, and this is minus 799.5 micron. It means the distance between these two lines is equal to 500 nanometer, and the error is within the nanometer. You can see the difference between the green line and the blue line. So that is in few nanometers, maybe a 50 nanometers. So such a great accuracy we are having. We can see in a Y scan data. Again, this particular figure is magnified here, and we can see this value here as 19.5 microns. This is 19.75 microns. So distance between these two spacing is 250 nanometer, and well, the region or the difference between these two lines is falling in somewhere in the 10 to 50 nanometers. So such a great accuracy we are having with this mechanism, and this is the simplest kind of a mechanism. Everybody can, it is easy to reproduce this particular mechanism, and this mechanism is giving such a very high accuracy. So if such high accuracy is possible, then only it is possible further to develop the 3D micro component, right? So that's why this promising mechanism is used in the development of the MSL system. So this is a clear picture of the MSL system. So these are the four flexural beams. Outer links are connected here and firmly fixed. All four beams are connected to this acrylic body, which is a rigid body, but it is free to move. It is not connected to anybody. It is free to move. And then we are having the actuators here to give the force in the direction X and Y, and thus the scanning mechanism and the mirrors are mounted on it, so the mirrors moves in X and Y direction. And this is something, some output from the CAD modeling software which I have developed, and one CAD structure, which is a tank type structure is used. Tank in tank type of structure is used, and this is the scan path generation data, then expert focus data, and the laser on off data. All this data is given to the hardware through the microcontroller system. So all these are the screenshots of the same. We can have the system integration shown over here. So we are having the computer, and through the computer the data goes to the microcontroller. The microcontroller which is used in this particular case is DSpace 1104 microcontroller, and this is the CLP board of the microcontroller. We are having different encoder channels and digital to analog converters over here, because our systems actuators work on the analog signal. So these voice call motors are connected to this DAC channel number 1 and 2, and then we are having encoder, the real-time data of the position of the XY scanning mechanism is sensed by this optical encoder and given to the microcontroller, and then to the data acquisition system. Then one more DAC channel is connected to the RF driver, radio frequency driver, to actuate the acoustic optical modulator. This acoustic optical modulator is the input pitch which operates at femtosecond frequency. And this is the architecture of like the electronics part of the micro stereography system. So we are having power supply. These are the RGF interpolators of the encoders, and this is the RF driver for the acoustic optical modulator, and these are the current amplifiers for the voice coil motors, and these are the DAC channels, etc. CLP board of displays on which we are having the encoder channels, etc. shown over here. And we can see like this is the repeat kind of thing. So I will omit this structure. So this particular slide, it shows that the accuracy is in some nanometers of this particular scanning mechanism. And then with the help of such systems, so we have seen optical scanning scheme, on-axis scanning scheme. So with the on-axis scanning scheme, it is possible to have large range structure but of minimum feature size. Let us say if I want to have 5 micron size but in length, that is possible with the help of on-axis scanning scheme. So that is the beauty of on-axis scanning scheme. And to maintain the accuracy of that particular length scanning, we are implementing the flexural mechanism, which is typically used in the CD-ROMs. So this particular mechanism is also we have seen. Now let us see some of the results which are obtained by operating this particular mechanism or operating this MSL system. So very first, the some principally to find out the best focus dimension, best focus distance. The experiments are conducted and it is experimentally determined to find out what is the best possible best distance for the focusing of this laser beam. So we have scanned it at various distances. Although we know the numerical data of the focusing lens from the company from which we have purchased it, but then it is validated and the focus distance is obtained and then it is used for the fabrication. Then although everything is mechanism is giving nanometer accuracy, optical scanning scheme is very good. Everything is still everything is good, but then another process which is non which cannot be overlooked is the photopolymerization. Okay, this is the last process or last thing mechanism or physics which is happening, and that is controlling your sizes of the features. So what we have done, so to see the photopolymerization and the effects of the photopolymerization, we have seen first of all we have developed the 2D structures. So these are the 2D structures and which are developed first of all with the system. So this 2D structure are ranging from 50 micron sizes to 500 micron size. So you can see like these sizes are very small, 50 micron to 500 micron. So this C7 circle is of 50 micron and the C1 circle is of 500 micron. So this is the CAD model dimensions, and then this particular series lithography is worked upon, and then we have obtained this is obtained structure, and they are measured, and these structures are obtained 4 times that the average of that 4 results are taken over here, and then error is estimated from the average and the model, and then error is presented in terms of the percentage wise here on the right hand side of the slide. This is very interesting results it gives, that the percentage distortion is not constant but it varies, and when it is a minimum size of 50 micron, it is maximum. It is maximum to 18.45 percentage and minimum at 500 micron distance, that is 1.33 recorded at 500 micron. And then this is for the circles or the circles which are like hollow type. Similar kind of dimensions are fabricated, but these are the solid ones. So same, we are having 50 micron to 500 micron circle, but these are the solid circles. Means the photopolymerization takes place for the circle, whereas here the photopolymerization takes place outside the circle. So here now the photopolymerization is taking place inside the circle. So the circles are solid part. So in case of that, again they are run for 4 times, and then the average is taken and the error is estimated. If this error is calculated further in the percentage wise. We can see for the similar dimensions, but the circle of the hollow size and circle of the solid type, the percentage error are different. This is because of the photopolymerization. In photopolymerization, there happens a shrinkage, and because of the shrinkage, your dimensions are different. Different dimensions are obtained for circles, solid circles, and for the hollow circles. So it is very important that this shrinkage allowance need to be calculated and need to be applied when we are generating the CAD model of the same. Okay, so CAD model has to take care of this particular distortion sizes, distortion which is taking place while fabricating these structures using the micro stereolithogram or any other photopolymerization process in general, I can say. Similar experiments are conducted for the square type of structure. So these are the square type of the structure. These are CAD model and these are the fabricated structure. The square sizes are again for 50 from 50 by 50 to 500 by 500, and then these are the percentage distortion. So we have got the percentage distortion from 1%, 1.2% to minus 17.18%, and these are for the solid circle. So the dimensions are same. 50 by 50 is the smallest circle, and 500 by 500 dimension is the biggest circle, and the distortion is again here are different. from 1% for the 500 micron to the 19.77%, minus 19.7% for the least size of the sphere structure. So here in nutshell, I can say that the photopolymerization process is highly non-linear. It depends upon the style, the kind of the feature we are having, its shape of the feature which we are having, and accordingly we have to calculate it at this particular this linkage allowance, and we have to apply this linkage allowance onto the CAD model. Now, after doing all this exercise, then the 3D models are fabricated. So these are the 3D models which are fabricated. So we are having the cone type structure. So these cones type structures are fabricated. We can see the dimensions at the base dimension of the cone is 448 micron, which is obtained dimension. Actually, the desired dimension in CAD model is 450 micron, and height is 450 micron. So we have obtained the height of 423 micron. So this is the cone type structure which is successfully obtained using this MSL. Then this is the micro pyramid. So this micro pyramid type of the 3D structure obtained. The base of the micro pyramid is 996 micron. The CAD model dimension is 1000 micron. Obtained dimension is 496 micron. At top of the land of this particular pyramid is 274 micron. The estimated from from the CAD model, the top land is 275 micron. Obtained is 274 micron. And then we are having one more structure which shows the capability of this MSL, which is developed at the IIT Bombay, to fabricate a large size component but of minimum feature size. So this is the large size component, which is the micro channel, shown as a micro channel. So this micro channel is the overall dimension is 4 mm by 4 mm. Okay, in a CAD model, obtained dimension is 3993 micron by 3989 micron in the another direction. So this is a 4 mm by 4 mm structure nearly. Okay, with the great accuracy it is obtained. So it shows that the large size can be fabricated, and the minimum feature size, we are having these channels in between these two holes, and the channels dimensions are 150 micron, is designed for in the CAD model and obtained as 146 micron. And here the counter holes are there in the reservoir with the dimensions of 417 micron, and the reservoir top dimension is 740 micron. So it shows that the minimum feature size is possible and large range is possible. It large range is 4 mm by 4 mm, it is possible, and it is also it can also incorporate the minimum feature size such as 150 microns. Okay, and then this last structure shows the capability to develop the high resolution structure with high aspect ratio. So if we are having the large dimension tag, outside tag, which is 4 mm by 4 mm almost. Obtained dimension is 3990 micron by 3995 micron, and actually in CAD model it is 4000 micron and 4000 micron. So it shows that the large size component is possible. So large tank is getting fabricated, shows that we can fabricate a large size component, and the inner tank is the high with the high aspect ratio tank. Okay, so it also gives the clear indication about the capability of the machine to develop the high aspect ratio structure. So this innermost tank is having the dimensions of 696 micron by 697 micron. So it shows in overall this particular last figure shows that this developed system is capable to fabricate the large size component and high aspect ratio component. So both this way it shows the better competency over all other schemes and all other developed micro stereography systems which are presently in the world. Okay, so these are some of the novel ideas and novel concepts which are used in case of this development of micro stereography. So I thank I stop here. I thank Father Francisco Rodriguez College of Engineering Student Association, a Triple I Association, for giving me the time and for sharing my research work with you. Any questions?
Thank you, Kiran sir. It was indeed a wonderful presentation. So now we can start off with the question and answer session. So I
Yes.
request all the participants to kindly type their question in the Triple I CRC 4 webinars group, and I will make sir answer those questions. So you may start typing your questions. Thank you. Until then, everyone kindly keep your audio on mute. Guys, please start typing your questions on the WhatsApp group. Thank you. Okay, sir. Our first question for today is, can we apply such laser technology in other rapid prototyping techniques? Any examples for future research?
Yes, yes, yes. Actually, I can share again the PPT. Can you see my PPT? Can you see this?
Yes, sir. So we have
Okay,
the thank you slide in front.
yeah. So here, we can see the future scope is we are getting a staircasing effect, which can be visible, like clearly visible. Okay, so as this is layer by layer way fabricated, so this is the staircasing effect, which is quite visible in all the structures. So this can be removed. There can be a different methodology to remove this staircasing effect. So, there are plenty of methods given here, which is in continuation, but because of time constraint, I have not shown all those. So to minimize this staircasing effect, there are plenty of methods given by various researchers such as parameter estimation method. So at the end of the scanning, you are changing your velocity and all of the parameters so that the staircasing can be minimized. Then there is a meniscus equilibrium effect, okay, and so on. And one very important method which is keeping the structure smoothly without staircasing effect is the bulk lithography. This is also like which I have developed in my PhD work basically. So this bulk lithography is the layerless kind of a process. In one 2D scan, we are going to develop all the entire 3D component. You can see here. So the slicing planes are different the orientation of the component is different as that is compared to the MSL, and when we are slicing it, we are getting a paraboloid. This entire paraboloid is formed when the line is scanning over the resin. So this way, each of the lines can fabricate the paraboloid, and in one 2D scan, we can fabricate the entire 3D structure. So that is the beauty of this bulk lithography. So rather than number of 2D scans to generate the 3D object, we can have one 2D scan wherein we can fabricate the entire the 3D structure. So this is the beauty of the bulk lithography. That's why it is called as the bulk lithography. You can search for this bulk lithography in Google, and you can get a plenty of research material on this bulk lithography. So this is the future. Another part of the question was, can we use laser in another additive manufacturing process? Yes, laser sintering process is also there. We can use their laser beam of high power, but there we require very high power, not as that we required in case of the photopolymer as well. So this laser sintering process is also there, where we can use the laser as a source for fabrication of the 3D component.
Okay, sir. Our next question is, we use photopolymerization here, but we
Mhm.
want but we want to know how cement, that is ceramic, 3D processing is done, especially for construction work or for micro ceramics for electronics and dental research.
Yes, yes, yes. Good question. So there are quite well many more 3D printer available in construction site as well, where we can fabricate the entire structure of the construction in using the 3D printer. So there we are using the cement mixture directly, and we are pouring through a nozzle, and we are depositing wherever we require it. So this way we are building the concrete walls, etc., using the 3D printing technology. And the ceramic and all that structures also we can develop. Some one group from the South Korea has developed the ceramic component, even the metal component also using the micro stereography. What they have done in the resin, they have seeded with the particles of the ceramic and the metal, and they have form a green component, which is the component of a ceramic or a metal surrounded by a polymer, and then it is sintered in the heat treatment furnace. And by giving the heat treatment, as it is sintered, by giving the heat treatment, the polymer get burns out, and we get the bonding between the ceramics and the metal, and thus we get the metal or the ceramic component.
Okay, sir. Our next question is, can we process bioproducts using this method?
Yes, hydroxyapatite is one of the biocompatible powder, and people are using these microstereolithography for the development of scaffold type structures of the biocompatible material, such as xyapatite powder, and that is quite successful. So, as I told, in a similar way, it is a mix with the photopolymer, and then this hydroxyapatite powder is mixed with the photopolymer, and then it is sintered, and then the polymer get burned out, and we get the hydroxyapatite biocompatible material structure itself.
Thank you, sir. Our next question is, what is the resolution of actuators and is feedback control possible?
Oh, good question. So this actuator, we are using voice coil actuator. So this voice coil actuator is having resolution in nanometer. So in few nanometers it is, and it is a frictionless actuator. So we employed frictionless actuator because we have to develop a micron size component. So the resolution is required in nanometer. So that's why this BLDC, sorry, this voice coil actuators are used, which are frictionless in nature.
Okay, sir. Also, a counter question to that is, what may cost for the space?
Space means size.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so now the system which I have shown you in my presentation is big system, which requires a quite a big size or big space. But now that was for the initial research purpose. Now that research is almost we have concluded with the good findings, and now based on that research, the another version which has come up is in the range, is in the size of laptop. So that particular system I have not shown here because yet it is not released. It is in a yet to come in a product form. We have developed it in a laptop size. So yet, but in product form not yet launched. But it is in laptop size.
Okay, sir. Our next question is, how can we connect IoT with this system? And what courses are available to develop thorough studies in these areas?
What courses?
Sir, our first question is, how
Mhm.
can we connect IoT with this system?
Yes, we can connect the IoT based system, no problem. So we can use I mean, a few of the researchers have done this IoT based 3D printer as well. And we are having this microcontroller and all which can be connected to the internet, and thus we can have the IoT based system. Okay, so we can use it from anywhere. So that is possible. What is another question?
What courses are available to
Yeah,
develop
courses.
thorough studies in these areas?
Yes, courses on additive manufacturing I am taking in Sardar Patel College of Engineering. So the courses on rapid prototyping, courses on additive manufacturing, so all these are there. Course by taken by Karunakaran, Professor Karunakaran of IIT Bombay. He is also can be a good course to study this further more in details.
Okay, sir.
There are plenty of courses on NPTEL as well. On NPTEL also you will get the plenty of courses on rapid prototyping and additive manufacturing. So that all will do to get more further details into this.
So this question is regarding actuators. The next question is
Mhm.
regarding actuators.
Okay.
Is feedback control possible? And what is the
Yes, yes,
cost
yes.
of the space
Speed,
controller?
feedback control is possible here, and we are. What was the next question? Space.
What is the cost of the space controller?
Space controller. What is the cost of the space controller? Generally, the space controller which we are having is 1104 platform. Something it comes in the range of 3.5 lakhs.
Hello, Advait.
Yes, sir.
I will speak to Kiran.
Okay, sir. Go ahead.
Kiran, I am Sudhakar speaking.
Nice to hear you, sir.
Yeah. I am just attending your session. I come to know it is your session today. So I
Okay,
thought, see, wonderful actually. I could see first time the work you have done. It's wonderful
okay.
actually.
Actually, I worked on bulk lithography, basically.
Okay.
So that is the extension of micro stereolithography. So micro stereolithography, the novel idea was the scanning mechanism and all that. And then later on, we worked on to the concept, and then we have come up with another central idea of developing this entire 3D component in one 2D scan,
Okay.
and we call it as a bulk lithography. That I have not yet presented. So somewhere
Yeah.
in future we can see that.
And I just want our students to realize this is the future, the 3D printing and micro electrical mechanical systems. These
Yes,
are very rapidly coming up, and these are the areas where they should be able to acquire knowledge,
yes,
to,
yes,
update them with this so-called industry integrated 4.0.
yes, yes, yes.
And one question related to that, probably you might have used this because this is, I want to our students to get a hold of it and experience on this, because
Okay.
as you said, this DSpace code, these discussions were happening when I had acquaintance with Professor Gandhi actually.
Yeah. Professor Gandhi uses DSpace only.
Yeah,
Other professors uses NI system a lot, but we in our laboratory we use DSpace.
I know. Actually, this CD mechanism, one boy
Uh,
was working it. He was the first student to Professor Gandhi. That
yes, yes.
this particular deflection problem you have is cantilever deflection.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So so anyway, so that DSpace thing, I just want to know, that's why I was asking the cost of that. How much probably that kind of system may cost? Like it is just.
DSpace 1104 will cost you somewhere in 3.5 lakhs.
Mhm.
This space 1104 model.
Okay.
1103 will cost you a lot, like maybe 12 to 13 lakhs. But 1104 will be 3.5 lakhs.
Yeah, that is affordable, and it comes with its own interfacing software. Say, आता है ना?
Yes, 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 sir, yes, sir. It comes with your own interface software.
Yeah, that is important because otherwise it would be difficult to
No, no,
use
no.
it.
It comes. Control test is something which is there. They come. It comes with it, and with it, it becomes very easy to operate.
Okay. Anyway,
And it can have interface with the MATLAB also directly, and you can have Simulink code generated, and then you can dump it into the control desk, and from there you can run your files.
that is the beauty of it, especially its interface, Simulink interface with the DSpace card, which makes it very user friendly to the students.
Yes, very user friendly, sir. It is very much user friendly.
Not only in it is quite useful in robotics. It is useful in motion control. So many applications.
Yes, definitely. Even Professor Gandhi is having two wings actually, basically in his research area. One is he takes student in MEMS and another in nonlinear dynamics. So both the people work with DSpace. So DSpace is having both like in the controlling this micro components and some nonlinear control system also they are using for various applications in robotics and all.
I know he is very fond of harmonic drives.
Yes, exactly. And
Yeah.
the sliding mode controller and all, he also uses that.
Right.
Apart from the PID controller, this is based with the PID controller in this system, but it tries with the sliding mode controller and all also.
Yours is with some feedback PID control kind of thing.
PID controller kind of thing. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you,
Anyway,
sir. With your
nicely.
due permission, can we get on ahead with the next questions? Yes, sir. Sir, so our
Yeah,
next
carry on.
question is, thank you, sir. Arduino and other microcontrollers which are available online, can such systems be workable?
Yes,
What are the
yes.
limitations for it?
Definitely, but the problem is the sampling size is a bit a problem in case of when we are driving these systems for the micro stereoscopy, because we require lot of data sizes in what we can say. I'm not getting the proper word for that, but sampling frequency is something which do not matches. Otherwise, there is no issue.
So actually, I just intervene here. Here actually in this DSpace card, a microprocessor is used. So
Yes. Yeah.
processor, controller, microcontroller is slightly inferior to a processor, and as you said, because of the data involved, we need to use a processor rather than a microcontroller.
Yes, exactly.
Thank you, sir. So I request everyone to type the questions on the WhatsApp group. Any more questions? So our next question is coming up shortly.
Okay.
Yes. So the question is, can we produce low-cost 3D printer at home? And can you give some tips for it?
Yes. Low cost means what is the range generally you're looking for the micro stereoscopy or stereolithography? Because laser will cost a little bit high.
They are
If
telling
we
about
are
3D
if
printer.
Yeah, 3D printer is, as I said, if general 3D printer, the fuse deposition type. So that such kind of a printer can be generated in a budget of some 20 or 25,000.
So
So
the question is, the cost estimated here is around 10,000 rupees. So for that.
okay. So as I know, in the FDM base, some 20-25,000 it can be built. FDM base, but not such a stereolithography base, because in stereolithography we require laser system, and laser, if we take low cost laser of cube kind of a laser, it will cost you in some lakhs, maybe 5 lakhs laser cost, and all other optics and all, it will also cost a lot. So that's why micro stereolithography or lithography, stereolithography is not so very popularly seen in the colleges. Its cost is very high. But definitely, if you are talking about any 3D system, 3D printer, then FDM are very popular, and then FDM can be built at low cost, maybe in 20-25,000.
Okay, sir. What are the major applications that are going to come from this technology regarding mass production like OEM parts?
Okay, this kind of the printer are very widely used in biomedical application, as one of the question was there regarding the biocompatible material can be printed or not. So this particular printer can be used in such application for developing of scaffold type structure, and that scaffold type structure are used in various our biomedical applications. And then the people are using for fabrication of the jewelry as well, and some MEMS systems also are developed using this MSL system.
Okay, sir. Can we use laser printing technology into 3D printing technology? Is technology in laser printers, does the technology in laser printers have some similarities? We don't know about the
Yes.
processors used in these laser printers.
Yes, the laser printer are pretty typically for the 2D scanning purpose, or 2D or 2D structures. But as I said, like laser sintering or this MSL is also 3D involves laser, so it can be used for 3D printer. As this is one of the systems, this is the for 3D printer. MSL is a 3D printer.
Thank you, sir. So I guess we are done for today. Um,
You can contact me on my email address, or if any questions are there, you can ask me on WhatsApp. My mobile number and my email address I will put on the screen. So this is my mobile number and email address. So uh, you can reach to me on my email address or
sir,
my phone.
yes, sir, sure. Sir, can you please stop your screen sharing? So I will
Okay.
give the yes. And no one exit up. There is still something to be left, something left. Okay. So I thank Dr. Kiran Bhole sir for dedicating his time and efforts in making this webinar a successful one. Also, thank you everyone for attending this webinar. We hope that you all liked it and was up to your expectations. Please do fill in the feedback form to avail of the certificate and help us know about your views and feedbacks. Our next webinar is on digital manufacturing. Digital manufacturing is an integrated approach to manufacturing that is centered around a computer system like the modern CNC, NC machines, 3D modeling softwares, and simulation analysis. Methods like laser sintering, stereolithography, etc. So that will definitely be an interesting one for you all. So hope to see you next time. Thank you and have a nice day. You may now leave the webinar. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.